On September 5, 2016, the embed period for the City of Guelph Civic Accelerator began. Here are some of the highlights from the launch event with city staff, partners, and the companies talking about the experience. Follow along at open.guelph.ca/accelerator.
So 6 months ago, the Civic Accelerator was just a good idea that we weren't sure if we could pull off. And then the way that we did pull it off was we filled it up with really great people. For everyone who's been involved or who is involved in the embed period coming up, thanks for taking the plunge. Not easy to do in government.
The Civic Accelerator, so you're turning our departments into research and development labs, and Colleen's here, and her and I are quite keen on seeing that happen. These things don't happen by happenstance, because it sounds so easy when he says it. You know, we had this great idea 6 months ago. You know, you have that sort of WTF moment, like what do you want to do? How do you want to do that? And it just feels different. It also aligns perfectly with how we deliver service. So if you think about customer service, so how do our customers want us to do business? And this is the sort of piece that is, you know, they live their life outside of connecting with us. They see all these things and they want it in their local government. So good for you and good for us that we're making that happen. Personally, I'm very excited that we've got 2 departments that are part of this now, so planning and our water staff. So we're really, really excited to see that service move along, and we're certainly behind it from a senior staff perspective in the service area, and we're going to make sure that we fully participate and make it happen, and we'll deal with whatever things that come along, and we'll fix that.
The Guelph Lab was created by the university and the city, partly in a recognition that to some extent it's not a problem of finding good ideas for the city or the university to get involved in. It's actually the constraints embedded in those big institutions that sometimes make it really hard for those ideas to see the light of day. So to some extent the lab is around leveraging both the city and the university to help make good ideas happen. And that's really where the accelerator came from. Looking out 5 years from now, said we're going to have to make a number of purchases over the next 5 years on services and products that are entirely new, not only to the city, but also to the people that are going to use them. And so when we think about trying to purchase those things, there's a couple of things that come up for us. One, how do we find the good ideas that are out there? Because what we know is that often the way procurement works, we don't always get the really interesting novel ideas. We get some really good ideas, but we want to know what's out there and what's possible, because that's the space we're in at the moment. And then there's the perennial question around procurement. How do you know this thing's going to work when there aren't best practices and there aren't other examples to look to? What's the end game look like? And there really are sort of 3 scenarios that we've imagined. The first one, I think probably the home run for everyone involved, it's been, out of the ball out of the park success. The partners are happy, the business is happy, this is going to work, and we're going to move ahead to a purchase. And we've structured the accelerator in a way that enables that to be possible, because there's lots of things that make that actually quite unique and quite interesting. The second scenario, equally good, is that this has been a really productive partnership. We've uncovered some really interesting questions. We've tested some things out. We've got some good answers. We're not yet at a point to make a decision, but we'd like to continue. The partnership has been valuable. The experiments have been useful. Let's continue. And the third one, perhaps not equally good, but still good. The partnership has been valuable. We've learned some lessons. The fit has been good for this 3 or 4 months, and this is an important one certainly for the government and in the DNA of the accelerator, is the fit isn't quite right, so let's not force it. Let's go our separate ways, be happy with what we've done so far. We've learned something, that's excellent. For businesses thinking about working with governments, how do we know and how do we develop our business model? How do we know that we have a product and a way to sell it that's viable if it's really hard to partner in government in these ways? We need to create opportunities for the city departments and emerging businesses to actually experiment. The final thing I think to mention, the demo day that we've mentioned to all of you, and I thought I'd just say a couple of things about what we've imagined for that. Firstly, we don't imagine that being a big surprise internally. This is a chance to talk publicly about what we've done, the work the departments have done, the work the business has done. It's not a sort of Dragon's Den pitch competition where Milou and Alert Labs have gone away for 3 months and they're coming back and say, hey, departments, look what we've done. The departments and internally, this isn't a surprise. This is a chance to tell publicly about what we've been doing.
We had a number of goals when we started to plan this thing. First and foremost was to attract innovative people, startups, to work on intractable problems alongside of the city managers to come up with great solutions. Another objective, excuse me, was to create commercially viable companies. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that result in 3 months' time. They need an idea. They need a team to execute on that idea. They need funding so they can sustain themselves and source the raw materials they need to build their product. And ultimately, they need customers. And in municipal tech, that's the hard part. Because as we heard during the kickoff, when Kirk was talking about sales cycles in municipal government, it's months, 6 at a minimum, 18 probably. And so for a startup to sustain itself over an 18-month sales cycle before they get any money coming in, it's just a non-starter.
We always expected that we'd eventually engage with municipalities and cities, and we've traveled as far as the state of California to talk to them about what's happening. The innovation and the thinking here, and not just that hey, yeah, somebody should solve that problem like you were saying, but the ability for you guys to say, no, we're going to do this. We're going to take the lead. We're going to take pole position on creating something here that works for our citizens and our municipality. I mean, the actual doing and deciding you're going to do it, I mean, wow, that's just fantastic. And it just blew us away as a team as well, because we thought this would take years for us to convince, cities and regions and municipalities to be proactive in this sense.
This opportunity for us is amazing because as soon as we saw the RFP, we're like, this is already all these things that we're doing, trying to notify residents of planning, trying to get them to provide them with tools to participate in that process and really understand that process in a simple and clear way by getting public feedback. How can we build more sustainable cities, neighborhoods? So I think that this opportunity in Guelph is a good chance to showcase not just what's going on in Guelph, but what we're doing in Ontario and what we can do across Canada and really all cities.
You know what? When I see the private sector embedding people into their business to help them have their business become better, and I see us doing that in the public sector and government, embedding businesses to try to make ourselves better, that is exactly what the accelerator is doing, and it's exactly why I'm so very excited about it, bringing in the expertise and some startups to help them, but really help us and ultimately the citizens at the end of the day.